Motivational Sunday. God bless you for watching this video. You see, I want to explain certain things to you. Life, right, belongs to God. Everything else is sort of like a suit, and the life itself belongs to God. So in us, the only thing that actually exists and it doesn't have a time limit is your soul, your source of life. The rest has a time limit. You will age, no matter how strong you are, eventually you will become weak as time goes, right? There are so much factors to aging because of the dynamics of environment that you're in, right? It just meant that the materials that is used to make your shell is has an expiry date, and it will eventually go. But then yourself, which is the life that is God, right? Because God transpires some of his power, which is still God, in you to make you who you are, but allow you to be you, with a time frame of judgment, right? So what am I saying? What I'm saying is this. The shell is different from the spirit. The life and the motivation that drives people's hearts and allows people to be who they are is coming from a higher source of power. And so many have different talents and they express it differently. Self-expression, praise, worship, all of these things matter to a magnitude. However, if it's not done in truth, then all of that would be in vain. You see, a lot of people, I feel like they are doing it from a cliche perspective. That means it's what my neighbors think of me, what my community see me as, and what they think of me matters. So then you become a box. Basically, you build a box for yourself in elevating, because you see, a spiritual box is a concept of reality. That means the box itself has points and has 4 angles, and these angles represent points that you will go and that you would not go past. And so if you stay in those points, you can't evolve past those points because you have stayed in the measures of those points. But if you come out of those points, essentially, if your thoughts are out of the box, if you come out spiritually out of that box that is placed upon your life, because a lot of people are in spiritual boxes, right? They're there, but they cannot see that they are there. But certain structures, gives them insights. That means your spirit knows, but your spirit is trying to message you in certain ways, maybe in a dream, or maybe, through people, certain signs and elements, sometimes even animals, right, will remind you that certain things are, off, or you need to do certain things. Those are all hindering the life that is trying to keep you from, dying, because the life itself has no limit, so it's eternal. But the environment, the shell, the suit has a limitation time, right? And so that is why those things seem to happen. And so you're directed to stay in tune with this kind of, power from time to time, because it's like it needs charging, right? So if you don't charge it, then what happens? You lose the energy, you lose the source of level of power that you're on. And so because of that, certain battles in the spiritual you won't be able to see, simply because you're not on that frequency level. You don't have that power, meaning that what you once had before. And so if you don't see it, that means chances are when it takes place you could be easily affected, because you did not see anything of it. The more vivid you see it, right, then the better choices you can make, simply because you know that God has shown you something that is for sure going to happen. And so you know by how vivid it is and how close it is that it taking place, giving your spirit warning, but your spirit is able to channel it to you, giving you that, advantage, right? And believe me, if you have that advantage and you don't capitalize and you don't grow by basically increasing your daily practices, right? Then what happens is there is what? Borders, spiritual block. So if the devil can assign agents to, create a spiritual barrier around you, then what happens? Then it limits your belief, your strength. And you won't see it coming, because usually it will come in forms of distraction. Because as you plot to increase your life to become better, right? And if you don't do it with God, obviously, then you will lose, because you cannot outsmart Satan on your own, right? So you need the proper charge, you need the proper energy, right? And you need the proper confidence. And the confidence has to really come from within, because guess what? You don't know your destiny and you don't know how big you're going to become, which means that you should never limit how much you should prepare. Because you see, if you limit the ways you prepare, then the enemy sort of knows exactly what you're going to do. So then the barriers could be more, like it will increase, because they know most likely, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. But if the devil knows that you are a person that is always active in the spiritual, you're always active strengthening yourself, you're always active in learning, because you see, knowledge and the use of it, knowing the use of it in certain particular points, that gives you that advantage. And that's what people need to really, dig down on, right? The sectors of life requires you to know your creator. Many have disagreements and think that the world just came out of above, but it is not so. The things that are taking place in the world, think about it. Why isn't human beings coming this far with all this advancement still does not have peace? And that greed is aggressively increasing in society. Why? Why is it that, weapons are being formed and nations, are being discarded from getting certain nuclear power or whatever the case is, because the world's not at peace and because of the endangerment of, the position they may play. But then at the same time, that means there is no trust. And trust is something that is truly expensive. Loyalty and trust, these two things. Because if you have these two things, certainly, even with 2 or 3 people, you can take over a whole planet, the whole country, because there is loyalty, right? Loyalty and trust gives you an automatic chemistry. You see what I mean? Because The loyalty and the trust is a certain level, is a certain type of frequency that connects straight directly to your heart. So all your hearts will align because you guys trust each other, and that you guys are sticking by each other, thick or thin, regardless of the situation. You're gonna live by it or die by it. And you see, when that happens, right, your whole life, right, your paths become in sync and your hearts become connected. That means giving you a deeper root of strength that you wouldn't be able to generate on your own, right? It's like rooted. Think of it like trees or poles of wires or something like this. Like, just look at it. You see these wires right here? There's what? There's two of them, right? And think of it, there's three of them. One, right? 1, 2, 3, right? So you see, when they're rooted into the ground, right? That gives them more strength, more power, right? When trees are rooted in the ground, and there's many trees, right? Their roots generally connect with each other, strengthening the forces of the tree together, right? And so that's what it is. You align because you trust, right? I mean, people have faith. They have the same faith. They believe in the same way, and they understand each other. And so what happens when that takes place, right? Changes happen because the power is connected properly, and the sources of power generates more. Think of it like 3 different batteries, right? Connecting to, what's it called? To channel one source. So all 3 people, right, when they connect and they join, they become one big temple. Do you see what I mean? So you see Solomon's temple, the creation of Solomon's temple, that is a physical aspect, but the spiritual temple is the growth, meaning that when you all believe in the same God and you connect together and you trust and you are loyal to each other, and the only way that could happen is all sins are clear, right? And all the baggages are clear. But once that happens, right, everything else, right, you become a bigger temple holding more power, because it is the temple that holds the source of power. Do you see what I mean? But you have one temple and other people have. When you guys all connect, 2 or 3 gather together, the temple becomes magnified significantly, holding greater source of power and being able to access it easier, because there's more people with more energy, right, connecting a greater source, reaching a bigger source of power, right? So yeah, words of wisdom, words of encouragement. Elevation is knowledge and the use of it. Thank you for listening. Happy Sunday. Freedom is within inside of you, not outside. You know what I mean? It's like, you think of it like this. If the outside, it looks nice, but the inside is rotten, you will eventually pass the outside. Because, you can wrap a gift, nice present, looks nice, right? But when you open it, what's in it is more important than what's outside of it. So remember, your internal is more important than your external. Because if your internal is not okay, you will die. If your external, right, is not okay, most likely you won't die. 9 out of 10 times you won't die. So higher percentage. Internal is more important. So stay motivated, guys. Have a nice day. Bye now.